satanic cults in the UK carrying out these rituals on global vortex points, you called them last night. Can you just elaborate on that, give us some examples, possibly tell us where in the UK this type of thing happens?
Well, the next thing on from the connections between religion and secret societies and the gods that they worship is Satanism, because that's just another arm of this. You know, this might be controversial. I have been known to be, funny enough, from time to time, but this might be controversial to the believers in the religions and stuff. But you've got the ancient gods, which were translated into God, which are worshipped by the religions unknowingly, most of them. Same with the secret societies. And the same gods, demonic entities as they're called in this case, that are worshipped by the Satanists, are the same gods that are worshipped by the secret societies and the religions unknowingly. In Satanism, it's knowingly. And these gods, these non-human entities, operate just outside the frequency range of human sight, what is known as visible light. It's so important for people to understand that when they look through their eyes, they're not seeing everything that exists in the space they're looking at, we call space anyway. They're looking at merely a tiny frequency range that our five senses can access. It's like a television station. It's like a holographic television station. And it's sharing the same space as all the other realities, what, you know, increasingly the cutting edge of mainstream science are calling parallel universes. And so, in the same space that I'm sitting now, are all the television and radio stations broadcasting to London. I can't see them, they can't see each other. There's a wireless internet in this room now. But we're not aware of it. But you get a computer and you tune it into that wireless internet, suddenly out of the ether, out of where, comes the internet. And you can call it, tunes us in to a certain frequency range, which is what we perceive through the five senses. But in the same space, or other frequency range, is other dimensions of reality, if you like, which are sharing the same space. Now, most of the time, we're not aware of them, just like television stations are not aware of each other. But of course, in a situation where you might tune onto a radio station and it's very, very close to another station, you get interference where the two radio stations interact with each other. And that's what can happen with these realities, where there's another reality that's really, really close to us on the frequency scale. They can actually be a crossing over between the two. And in satanic ritual, one of the reasons they do it, one of them, is to create an energy environment through the way the ritual is conducted, which allows like a vibrational window or doorway to open, which allows these entities to enter the ritual. I've talked to endless people around the world who've seen this, actually experienced it. Suddenly this seriously horrible, often, looking entity appears in the so-called magic circle, which is a vibrational field. That's what it is. You know, they don't use these pentagrams and stuff just for fun. I mean, some of them might, you know, the lower ones who don't really understand it, but the ones that are really involved, that understand the way reality works and how you can manipulate it, these pentagrams and these various symbols used in Satanism, like the reversed pentagram is the classic satanic symbol, and the circle around it, they are vibrational fields. That's why they do these rituals, and the entity can enter this reality, the range of visible light, in other words what we can see, within that vibrational field, and suddenly the gods appear. And these gods, as they're perceived, feed off human energy. They feed off low vibrational human energy, low vibrational emotional energy, all round based on fear, stress, hatred, guilt, all these things, these low vibrational emotions. And another way they feed off human energy is by human sacrifice. What they do in the sacrifice is they'll have the victim and they go through this ritual, and they build up the ritual to gain maximum terror from the victim. So now there's a tremendous energy, not just of fear, but of absolute terror. And then at the point of sacrifice, that energy is released massively. And these gods that are operating just outside human sight feed off that energy, because that terror, that low vibrational energy, represents the energy field that they are vibrating to, and therefore they can absorb that energy. They can't absorb the higher dimensional energies. They have to have low vibrational energies. Look at society. It's structured to create massive fear, stress, all these things for the population, and it's feeding these, quote, gods. The other thing that happens in these rituals from the human level, physical level participants, is that there is a point where the victim is in a state of such extreme terror that a certain adrenaline enters the bloodstream. It's not even a normal adrenaline that comes from danger. It's an adrenaline that comes from sheer unbridled terror. And that enters the bloodstream at the point of sacrifice. And then these sick people drink the blood because it's got that adrenaline in it, and it gives them this rush. What shocked me when I started to understand this and investigate this was the scale of it. The scale is astonishing. And there's people in America who've been involved in their careers in things like the FBI who've been investigating it in America. And one of them said, it is on such a scale, Satanism, that if you have a reasonably wide circle of friends, associates and acquaintances, you will know a Satanist who's involved in this stuff. Not always the sacrifice of children or whatever, but the sacrifice of animals and stuff like that. Now, when you start relating this stuff to history, you come across this common theme everywhere of making sacrificial offerings to the gods of animals and of young virgins. The young virgin sacrificed to the gods. Find it everywhere. Of course, in places like the Aztec period in Central America, they were doing it bloody en masse, thousands of sacrifices. And what was that? It was merely what is happening today. There is a change in the energy field when you pass through puberty, and there's a change in the energy field when you start sexual activity. These gods want the energy before that change takes place. I mean, they'll have it afterwards, but it's like what they're really looking for is pubescent, pre-sexual activity energy. That's why they want children. That's why you had the young virgin sacrifice. They were kids. That's why they do it today, for this very reason. And there are certain points where there are vortexes within the Earth energy field. And these vortexes, as they spin, they're basically places where the connection between this dimension and other dimensions is much thinner, much closer, because of the nature of the vortex. It's basically spinning two dimensions together, in effect. And so if you do the rituals on these vortexes, then it is much easier energetically to manifest and bring out these gods into manifestation. The other thing about the vortexes is there are points where lots, the big vortexes anyway, where lots of ley lines cross, meridian lines, energy lines cross. So what you do on those lines, for a start, is sourced by very powerful energy, because basically you've got electricity grid on an energetic level coming into the point from several directions to where you're doing the ritual. So you're dealing with a powerful energy field, which is what you want to achieve your outcome. And also what you do at that point in terms of the energy that you create of hatred, of terror, of all these things, that then goes out through these lines from that point, and you're actually affecting the global grid by doing that. In terms of places where this goes on. I can only talk about people that I've spoken to and things that I've come across. Certainly, a lot of the major royal palaces are built on these prime sacrificial spots. One that keeps coming up again and again is Balmoral in Scotland, where the royal family go, of course, every summer. So it surprises me not that people tell me of the rituals that go on there. Another place where it seems to go on is Sandringham in Norfolk, and there's many of these places.